Welcome back to Live China Music Podcast, where you can find out about the freshest music coming out of mainland China.
Happy to be back here. Thank you, Ellie. My name is Will, and yes, we do have a great batch of new tracks for you to jump into, indulge in, and just soak up. And it's getting hot out there, Ellie, right?
Well, for you, because Kunming always has perfect temperatures.
All right, rub that in my face. Why not? That's cool. We just got out of the plum season, and now things are really heating up.
Okay, so today we have some post-punk, we have some hip-hop, and we have something that I need to ask you about in a little bit. You said it's power violence.
Oh yeah. We'll get to that in a bit. But I thought today we would start off with the latest album from the famed Maybe Mars record label. And this is from the band Rats and Pears out of Xian. So that was a Burning Nightmare from Rats and Pears. Over the past, 5 years, we've talked about this in the past, but we've seen this kind of resurgence of post-punk, I feel, in the scene. And this all-female group out of Xian fit very much in that mold. With, I guess you could say it has a more feminist take on everything, especially if you dig into the lyrics and whatnot. But I just love the taunt kind of sound they bring to this genre. It's very nervy, and combined with the vocals, it's really quite potent.
The album still has a lot of variety across the different tracks, and this is a full album. But before that, they only had a single out that looks like it came out a few years back. You know what? Do you know the story behind that?
Well, they haven't been. They've just kind of been slowly cooking, is the way I see it. I was lucky enough to catch them in Xi'an, where I go a couple times a year. So I knew they had it, and I think they signed with Maybe Mars at least a good year back, and so they've just been slowly putting all the pieces together, getting ready. This is their debut album, so before this, they only had, yes, as you said, a few singles out there, but they were known in most indie music circles by that point. And we've heard him before on the podcast, but, whenever you hear a saxophone in one of these kind of post-punk tracks, or even any kind of track these days, you can put your money on it that it's likely going to be Lee Jung-hui. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Lee Jung-hui. There's a kind of trio of saxophone players in China that are very well known. And Li Zhonghui is one of them. Li Tietia, he's more on the experimental jazz kind of side of things. And the third one, I can't remember. Okay, so anyways, there's three of them. We can't think of the third guy right now, but yeah, Li Tietia and Li Zhonghui are important jazz players, sax players in China, and they're involved in a lot of really interesting projects across the board.
Yeah, and if you have a chance, they have a music video for this track. So yeah, jump up on YouTube and check that out. Really good stuff.
So the next track, we're gonna get a little violent here.
Yeah, and guess what? We're gonna be able to play this whole track, I believe, right?
Yes, the whole track. So you're in for a treat here.
So this is you pronounce it as sandpit turtle, even though, if you look at the actual name, you get a bunch of X's in your way there. This is sandpit turtle with Yearn for the Urn.
Oh, right. Well,
in and out.
I love me a little hardcore once in a while. And so you said, this is an album that came out June 4th. And the shortest track is 3 seconds long. It's called Acceptance.
Yeah.
The three other stages of grief, anger, denial, and grief, they take 7 seconds. But grief itself just 3 seconds.
Yeah. So Sandpit Turtle are a duo out of Shanghai, made up of 2 American expats who have been here for some time, and this is in the realm of power violence, a genre.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, let's just pretend like I did not really understand what power violence was when I first got into this, but I guess you can define it as a subgenre of punk in which you have very fast parts that kind of resemble grindcore music, and then slow down parts that, it's kind of hardcore music, and it's, you're trying to cram a song into basically anything under a minute. That's kind of the goal.
All right. Yeah, and they are successful on this for most of their tracks. Apart, the last one is a bit longer on the album. It's, I think, about 4 minutes.
I recall they get very sludgy there, kind of just dragging it out.
So it's good to know the hardcore scene still, is going strong in China. I know, right now, I'm aware of the band PPT, which is, it's based in Kunming. But back in the day in Beijing, there were a couple really fun bands. I'm not sure what's going on in the scene in general.
Well, yeah, usually power violence bands, like they're always kind of a side project of someone else's other band, and it's always kind of has a kind of very, like, this could last for a couple months, this could last for a year, but it's never really, it's not something that is substantial in the long run. Even though, to me, like, if you're a band and your set is 20 minutes, that's like that's a miracle. And sometimes it's a blessing, getting in and out, just barreling through all your tracks within 20 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah, I really believe in a tight set, and that by setting constraints, you can be creative in really interesting ways, and time is a hard constraint to put yourself into. So cool.
I mean, I really don't feel like it's worth it to break the news that the sand pit turtle will be disbanding within the week. But you never know. They could be back. I'm actually doing a release show for this debut in a couple days from when we're recording this, with a bunch of other awesome bands in the Shanghai scene, including Lysoma, Conch, Torturing Nurse. And so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Looking very much forward to that.
Great lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For the next track, we're going to move on to a very different genre. And I know some people have been excited about some of the hip-hop and hip-hop adjacent music that we've shared here. So we've got some interesting tracks in that realm today. And the first one we have is by Wenro D-Boy featuring Xiaoda. And I love the title of the track, 做音乐有什么用? What's the point of making music? I was first keen to listen to this because of the cheeky title, and then super pleasantly surprised with the funky vibes leading into a female singer and her laid back flow, the fun lyrics. It's kind of a diss track, actually, taking the piss at self-conscious artists making drab music. Nice find there, Will.
Well, so D-Boy is Wangbo, who I guess is known to most as the guitarist for Chinese football, a very big, very popular emo band in China and I guess around the world at this point. And his album last year, Game Room, was in my top 10. And it was just kind of like one of those albums that I don't know why, but like everything about it just clicked with me. It has this very Beck-esque quality to it, where like you can just kind of see all of the how meticulously it's like assembled. And I guess they reference it, or people have referenced this as like Shibuya-kei, which is, I guess, a Japanese...
Shibuya-kei?
Shibuya-kei, which is a Japanese kind of subgenre of just kind of very cut and paste, funky, very kitschy kind of style of music. And very much when I listen to a lot of his music, it feels like I'm like in a arcade or something, just a brightly lit arcade emporium. And so I believe this track was kind of meant to be a secret track, or is a secret track on their album release. and they finally just released it as a single for people who, weren't lucky enough to find it there. It took me a while to figure out the featuring artist on here is how do you pronounce it? Xiaozaza?
I'm not sure because I'd have to see the Chinese, but Xiaozaza, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Xiaozaza. So yeah, Xiaozaza she's based in the London right now, I believe. She's doing her studies and also, I believe, performing like with bands of her own there at the moment. But I'd first met her when she was coming through Beijing as like a 17-year-old playing with a band. And she's kind of always been this figure in the music scene, just like this young, very enthusiastic, very just gun-ho kind of musical savant who's always been involved in the music scene in one way or another.
I mean, I think it really works, the pairing here. And another pairing that really works is on the next track. We're going to discuss 水牛 featuring 小老虎. It's J Fever with Etziga.
大小正好一颗葡萄，先出犄角后出头。我更像水而不是牛，我是贝壳里的草莓味鼻涕，又硬又软，不能控制积极。溜到美术馆后街的水果店里，把你们都粘在一起。高压锅中的哭声，雨声，葱爆羊肉的热油沸腾。我在锅边上爬得很慢，锅里的朋友被炖得很烂。写字的楼顶我爬过，乌鸦的头顶我爬过，你的期待我爬过。每一朵透明的云彩，下着雨的晴天，把我轻轻地放在你手心，然后请把拳头攥得很。
So this was 水牛 featuring 小老虎, Water Buffalo with J Fever. So, yeah, 水牛 usually is water buffalo, but in this case, it takes different meaning as a snail.
Okay. And so it says also it's actually based off of like a children's song as well.
Yeah, so I think on this one we might have needed a little bit more research and check in with a Chinese native. So yeah, in the vein of what Xiaohe's been doing, I guess, taking up a nursery rhyme and putting a little modern twist,
putting his spin on it, as you say. But I really love the instrumentation on this. These guys, I mean, I'm gonna butcher this, but I mean, I've been told it's Shanghainese, but Itiska.
Oh, we do have the proper pronunciation of Itiska, and we can give you a little listen.
Literal meaning is one day world. In Shanghainese, it means in a mass. They're based out of Beijing, and they make this, very, very nice instrumental music, very jazzy, very desert rocky. It's very good on the ears.
Yeah, and I feel that it also reminded me of Run Run Run, the the Cantopop, Southeast Asian sound, Sleeping Dogs, yeah.
Yeah, Poo 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 Platter. I mean, there's a whole, raft of these kind of bands out there. But what I appreciate about them is each of their tracks have, to me, feel like more narratively structured in some way. And I think it's a good match for Jay Fever in this case.
Yeah, how well does he just come into this track?
He just jumps right in it and just kind of goes exactly with the beat and kind of just goes with just jumps on the groove like a surfer and just runs with it.
That's a very nice way of putting it. Yeah, I was listening to it at the office. Actually, I just coming in the morning. I was like, oh, that's a nice track. And then Jay Fever comes in and it's like, oh, that's just perfect.
But yes, do check out Itisuga's. They released their debut EP last year with Space Fruity Records. Definitely worth checking out. I do want to know more about this band because it's a name I'm familiar with. I've seen it pop up in my feeds, but I actually don't know that much. Do you have more info? So yeah, I mean, it's made up of like three very kind of diverse artists, I suppose. One's a kind of a independent film director and photographer. Another's a book publisher, and one's a beat maker. And so very diverse backgrounds, and I think that kind of really helps with how they're able to put together these melodies. Because as I said, there is a very, very much a narrative or cinematic scope to their music. And I'm very excited to be hearing more from these guys in the future.
Same here. And for the next track, we're going to move to a place that is not so good for snails because we're talking about Salty Mountains. And this is a track by Salty Mountains, Cotton Clouds. This was 棉花云 by Xian Shan, so Cotton Clouds by Salty Mountain. It's come out of an EP that was released on June 1st. 3 little tracks, perfect for my Friday night. Just some quirky, playful, instrumental. It's just wonderful to wind down to. And the EP is called 耳朵的眼睛, The Eyes of the Ears. And it's meant to invoke childlike innocence. It's a release by 1724, which is a record label that's been putting out some interesting stuff. They're Beijing-based, and originally it was more focused on post-rock music. I remember sitting down with the label boss, and he was a little bit puzzled because a lot of his artists want to go into more experimental directions, and for him, he doesn't quite get the music they're putting out, but he's always supportive. I think they're doing a terrific job.
Yeah, I really do love like the blend here. It's like it has a bit of electronica to it, a bit of IDM, and obviously you have this instrumental kind of framework to it all. And it really just kind of makes this beautiful ambient soundscape that you kind of just want to climb into. So Yan Shui is the artist behind this project, and he also is a producer for a lot of bands out there. Bands like Amber, big post-rock band out of Xian, Lure, a band we talked about recently, and Ear Snail. And so you can kind of see, him using all of his bag of tricks here, really making this wonderful, kind of intoxicating world to just swim through.
And for the last track, we're going to swim into the swamp, because this is a track coming from the live album recording by Zhazi, Swamp. And this track is called Sa. This was Sa by Zhazi, Swamp. Sa is an onomatopoeia. It's the sound that the wind makes. And this is another live album after the one we introduced from Columbia Cola last episode. And so it's called Triangle. It was recorded in Shenzhen at the venue Ho, which is it's a big stage. Can hold about 1,000 people. 2-hour live performance.
Well, the special thing about this live recording is this was the first time they used a string quartet in their live show.
I was going to get to that, but you jump in.
I didn't know. It looked like you were. It looked like you were kind of.
No. You go. You jump in. I know you're excited. You're excited. I can see you're excited about this. Go.
I'm not. So the Swamp. These guys are one of the most, I guess, well-known, most distinct post-rock groups in China. What is their main instrument of choice?
The guqin.
Mm-hmm. So yes, the guqin is. I'm not going to try to describe this.
It's a plank of wood with 7 strings on top of it, and it is the classical Chinese music instrument. It's really beautiful. Most people are more familiar with the guzheng. So the guzheng is the same. It's a long piece of wood, but it has 21 to 26 strings depending on the instrument, and The guzheng is found a lot. It's used a lot. It's used too much, really. There's a lot of people that try to include this in their music, and in most times it's just a gimmick. It doesn't really work. But that's not what Zhazi are doing at all.
No, they're going here. It really does, and I think they said it better than anyone. It does really capture that kind of splash ink kind of painting, Chinese like painting style, and just transferred to music. And it really does take on like a whole new layer here. It takes on a whole new, what am I trying to say? It takes on a whole new caliber here. It adds just this turbulent, particularly on a track like this, which is, standing in the wind. It really does give this turbulent kind of feeling to their post-rock sound that is kind of very, it moves you.
It does. I mean, the guqin itself is one of my favorite instruments when it's done well. And what I also thought for this track specifically, it's also very evocative to me to spaghetti western films, and you could imagine yourself in the Gobi Desert, maybe Clint Eastwood's walking around. Beautiful, just beautiful stuff.
So these guys, they have a whole catalog of music you can find on their Bandcamp. Just decades worth of music out there. All of it very, very good. And there was actually like a moment last year where they went on hiatus, where like they kind of disbanded, and like everyone was kind of up in arms, like, oh no, this can't be it. And then I guess, they just couldn't do it. They had to come back. But so happy to see them back. Happy that they're, trying to elevate it even further with the addition of strings is just brilliant. I love it. And always good. And
talking about Bandcamp, just a reminder that in the show notes of every episode, we put in some links for the tracks that we feature. So if you go in the episode description, you'll see you'll find Bandcamp links when I can find them, or Spotify when those are available. I think that's a good way to end this episode today. We had a bit of a snag on the last episode just because I was just fucking busy. I guess I'm gonna edit that out. But
I mean, you were busy. You were not in China. You were traveling. You're doing your duties as a tour manager, I suppose. And you're back here now for a bit.
Just a few days.
But it's gonna be an interesting summer, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to be on the road for a long time. I think 46 days, something like that. 40, yeah. I'm going to be on the road with Puman. We're going to Mongolia, and then we're going to be in France and Spain. So actually, if you're a listener out there, if you want to meet up, hit me up.
Yeah, if you want to throw shoes at a Frenchman you see in the crowd, I'll hit me up. I'll send you pictures of him so you can
He'll
spot
ship
him
you
out.
some shoes too.
Yeah. Yep. Always a pleasure. We'll be back here for our July.
Yeah, end of July, August. We're going to keep pumping out the good stuff.
So we'll wrap it up there, and we'll see everyone again soon in a couple weeks. We'll have new tunes, of course. Please, if you haven't, dig into our past episodes and just be curious. Go out there. Find something new. And we're always happy to hear from you. Until then, enjoy.